I stopped asking myself that question a long time ago of my purpose or my identity, like who am I? And it didn't come out of uh, arrogance or anything like that. I think it came out of fatigue after spending years and years trying to answer those questions, what is my purpose? And reading books on it and, all these elaborate philosophical answers, religious answers. And, and none of it felt right in my spirit. None of it felt right. And I remember what felt right someday was just, I was just walking and I was asking the same questions. And I remember a thin voice, very subtle, in my spirit, just dropped in my spirit, and it said to me, you don't need to ask that question. You don't need to answer that question. You are your purpose, you know. And as your identity, you just are. You are you. And you don't even have to ask that. And I remember the peace that that gave me. And obviously after that, I went on a quest, as to why was that so peaceful, um, to not answer those things. And it just hit me, and it was like, yeah, of course, makes sense. Because it felt like I was explaining myself. Because when people ask you about your purpose, basically they're saying, what's your reason for being here? And anything you say after that is an explanation, pretty much. Even who are you? If you answer that, you are explaining something. And I feel like the minute a person explains themselves, you give away something very sacred to whatever it is that asked. Like if I make an example, if I were to walk into my house, and as soon as I open the door, a voice says, "Why are you here?" You know, I this is me. I honestly feel like if I even answer that, I'm a goner. If I say, because this is my home or I live here, the minute I say that, I have given away something that's very important. Um, so I don't feel, I wouldn't even answer that. I would probably say, get out, to the voice, you know. So you can't answer something like that, you know. Can't get in your car and then a voice says, why are you getting in the car? The minute you say, because I have to go to work, that's it. You are, you've just depleted something, your power. And yeah, I know that sounds like, huh? Why don't you want to have a reason? And I'm like, I think my purpose and my life are intertwined, you know, if I would call it that, if I have to answer it, that whatever it is that I call purpose and whatever it is that's happening right now in my life, they're the same thing. They work together. And purpose is not to explain this whole life thing. The purpose is the life. That's how I see it. And there's a danger in explaining yourself, because this is what makes people want to explain themselves wherever they go. The imposter syndrome, that you can't even be in a space without feeling like you need to explain your presence there. You need to explain to the people why you are there. And that is not how to live. And I say that because I lived that life of explaining myself. in every situation, I always felt like I needed to explain myself. And that used to drain me so much and take away so much of my power. When I stopped doing that, I could just be in a space and just be. No heart palpitations, no nervousness, just nothing really. It was just I was just calm. I was just there. And the decisions you make about your life when you are in that state of mind, they're much better. I've learned because I've lived both lives, right? I was an extreme explainer of everything, you know, and that always gets me into trouble with a lot of church folk. But again, I go back into the whole idea of like, look, the God that I serve, Mina, he's way too big, and he's a kind of God that just blows my mind because he loves people and things that I can't even fathom loving. You know, like it blows my socks off because I was like, what? Who would love this? You know, and he's in places that are like crazy to me. Like my brain can't even fathom the places where he is. You know, he's way beyond my opinions and stuff like that. And I feel like if he liked the people I liked, I don't think he would be my God. He would be my homeboy type thing. You know what I mean? And that always gets me into trouble. But again, I don't think I need to explain to people who God is to me, right? Because that's my own thing. That's my own private something. And I also don't expect anyone to explain to me who God is they can tell me who God is to them, and I'm more than happy. But they can't impose that on me, you know, their idea of who God is. I don't do that to anybody. And I love to hear a good story of how a person's relationship is with God, you know, and the things they get up to and the stuff they talk about and how that person's life has changed or goes with having God in their lives, you know what I mean? I love that. And I love to listen to people who share stories like that. But the minute a person says to me, this is who God should be to you, and this is how you must do this with God, the minute somebody says that, for me, they've lost me. They've lost me. I'm like, live and let live. That's my philosophy, man. I let people be, and I let myself be.